Kieran Gillen and Guiu Villanova kill the world as the Progenitor tries to take control of the machine and cause the utter destruction of everyone and everything on its surface. Kieran Gillen dives into the machine's own battle against the Progenitor and explores the opening salvo in the giant battle we saw in the last issue of the main Judgment Day series, retelling certain events from the machine's own POV and how it's betting on the heroes winning. Ultimately, this leads to one of my favourite and one of the most heartbreaking deaths from Marvel in the past few years, which is the death of the Machine, or Earth as we know it. It wasn't a death as we perceive it, like nothing physical actually died, but it was more a death of the individuality, as over Gillen's entire tenure as the Eternals writer, he has been giving the machine a personality and uniqueness in its own way and the way it speaks and acts. It's not just some usual AI or robot or machine. Having Phastos be the genesis of the idea that they need to do a hard reboot on the machine in order for it to pass the test was both genius and heartbreaking, thanks to his role in the Eternals book and his relationship to the machine and how he actually helped mold a lot of what the machine thinks and how it acted and everything. So to see him having to be the one to literally flick the switch is just so heartbreaking. Gillen presents the death in such a cool way too, utilizing the infographic pages we've seen throughout the Eternals run and through these settings to give the machine some final words before it resets to factory settings. Guiu Villanova again chronicles the hero's exploits with some wonderfully complex action sequences, yet since a lot of the issue was all just talking and standing around planning, there were a lot of faces that to me just didn't look exactly right. Like there were a couple of passes from actually being correct. Like with Star Fox at one point, he just has a huge smile on his face that is reminiscent of the Joker's smile, which doesn't really suit him at all. But again, all of the action stuff was fantastic and had a great flow and pacing to it, and I like the sudden chaotic nature of it all. Fits really well with what else we've seen throughout the Judgment Day event. Death to the Mutants issue 3 wonderfully explored the war from the machine's point of view by examining individuality and creativity, culminating in an extremely painful character death, but one that will have huge effects on the Eternals going forward. I'm going to give this issue a 9.5 out of 10. Death to the Mutants issue 3 finds the machine getting the thumbs down as Star Fox wants to join the combined forces of Earth to destroy the Progenitor. Zuras knows he can't do that, but Eris tells him that they are responsible, so they will lead the attack. But Zuras reminds him they literally cannot do this thanks to the principles. Eros tells him to just open his mind, revealing that there are mutant telepaths who can team with the Eternals to deactivate their firewalls and allow them to fight, controlling them per se. Cersei knows that it will work, and Emma Frost appears, wondering if they are going to stand together. The assault begins and the Hex are the first to fall, as Cersei knows that the battle is over before it even begun and they need to regroup, as Icarus demands to know why Cersei failed her test, since she shouldn't have, knowing that she doesn't make mistakes and plans for all eventualities. Icarus tells her to run because he won't be, since he lived his life how he should have and cannot change paths now. Icarus attacks the Celestial, knowing that he tried to learn to run but it was too late for him. The hero is obliterated by the Progenitor as Cersei demands Iron Man order a retreat. Machine remembers that Icarus asked the Celestial to kill all Eternals, so the Progenitor begins by making good on that plan, burning all of the resurrection engines, with the Hex inside being repaired. The Celestial tells the machine to kill itself and destroy the reality loom, but it tells the Celestial that it won't be doing that since its principles know that it isn't to obey, only to protect. And the second eternal principle is that they must protect the machine, meaning it's an Eternal's duty to resist the Celestial. The Progenitor plunges its stave into the machine, knowing that it is trying to force it to follow orders. At Avengers Mansion, Captain America and the other heroes lay out a plan to get into the Celestial and blow up its node. Star Fox is upset that they failed again, but Steve knows they don't fail just because the Progenitor says so, but Kurt knows that they will fail if the planet explodes before they can save it. Nightcrawler knows that the Progenitor is trying to hack the planet's AI, and he knows someone who could probably stop that, hoping another person can join the team. Phastos arrives arrives with some bad news, knowing the machine is almost completely compromised thanks to the Progenitor, but Kurt isn't fazed since he knows Phastos has a solution to this problem, since he wouldn't have told them of the situation if he didn't have a solution. Machine isn't sure he likes Phastos' plan, as despite the resurrection engines blowing up, Sign is still active, texting Sally, but Sally doesn't text back. Machine knows that it's because Sally is probably dead like most humans, and that the Hex could go into hiding, or it could finally stop pretending that this is one of her poems. Sign leaves the resurrection engines as Crow assures Phastos that the Deviants are fine and they are probably the most prepared for when it comes to a Celestial deciding to kill everyone. Crow asks why Phastos has come to Lemuria, to the giant hole in the ground, learning that he's going to access the machine. Phastos enters the void, helped out by Machine as the machine's own defenses try and kill the intruder. Machine tells him to pick up the pace as Sign arrives at Avengers Mansion, confronted by Exodus, who knows that he can kill the being again, but being that it's half destroyed already, it looks like someone's beat him to it. Sign, however, shares some French poetry with Exodus, who is impressed with it, especially since a human wrote it. He wonders why it's talking poetry in biblical times like this, but Sign merely says that she only wishes to talk poetry and nothing more. Sign regales Exodus with more poems it has written as Phastos makes it to the heart of the machine just as the Progenitor's influence is seconds away from taking it over. Phastos asks the machine if he's okay with what he's about to do, and machine wants to justify itself to the god, making Phastos realize that while he's known the machine, he's never actually fully gotten to know it, telling Phastos that he is a good man and he has learned to be a better one as well. Phastos finds the off switch, knowing that he has to find another way, but machine says he can't hold out for any longer and it has to be this way. Phastos clicks the switch on and off as machine knows that it was nice while it lasted, telling everyone he loves them as the machine is rebooted back to factory settings, kicking out all of the Celestials' connection, but in doing so, all of Machine's personality goes with it. Phastos tells Nightcrawler's team that they can shore up the defenses since that won't work again now. He asks Machine if he's okay as the cold and clinical Machine runs down everything wrong with what's happening with the Progenitor, but Phastos wants to know how the being is itself. However, the Machine doesn't know how to answer the question, and it doesn't make sense since he feels nothing, causing Phastos to break down crying.